Welcome back to the Red Stool, and today we're talking about My Hero Academia, chapter 343, Let Me Down. Now, we start this chapter almost at the exact same spot as we left off last week with All for One, and he's actually making a phone call to Aoyama and his parents. But of course, it's not just any phone call, it's to basically touch base and plot out the next move of his attack. While during which we actually get a bit of backstory to one of the quirks that he has. It's unnamed at the moment, but what it basically does is it functions as a makeshift lie detector to where as though he can tell if you have any ill will or deceit in anything that you're saying to him. So I guess this was what he just uses to keep tabs on all his subordinates and of course to make sure that all the information that he's getting from Aoyama and his parents is on the up and up because he's only planning an invasion of UA. Got to check on that. Just make sure everything's on the up and up. But as their phone conversation goes on, he's basically alluding to Aoyama is in an abandoned parking lot by himself. And what I'm getting the gist is that the plan is to lure Deku off by himself and then strike, grab up one for all, then make his grand escape and continue destroying Japan. So this is, basically the plan that's laid out thus far. And of course, we have Aoyama in the abandoned parking lot, and Deku just happens to run into him. And they just, they kind of had this back and forth conversation where Deku's pretty excited to see Aoyama, but Aoyama's like, hey, the world is getting bad. It's looking like the days, like the Depression days or the days before we had the modernized society where it was the Wild West almost, and people were just using their quirks recklessly and freely. And this is actually going to lead to the destruction of Japan because we find out that the economy, Japan's money, everything has been on the downturn since the raid started. And it's kind of looking like there's going to be a trickle-down effect to where as though the other countries, they're going to experience the same thing too. So it's kind of just a small symptom of everything that's going on in the world. That's basically like what Horikoshi is telling us. So of course Aoyama's like, hey, I want security and I want a future. And that's what he can give us because basically after everything's said and done, he's going to be the only one with access to resources and the only one who can rebuild society. So everyone is going to have to go to him. He's going to be basically the demon lord of this new dark world that he's created, which is really great writing. Just in my opinion. Like Horikoshi, he's really like, this is basically who All for One is. He's a master manipulator, and him putting himself in a situation where everybody has to come to him for something is absolutely perfect. That's exactly the type of thing that he would do, and it's just what he's already doing on a much grander scale. So I like how we kind of see the pieces of his plan coming together, but of course I'm sure this isn't his exact master plan because it's just, the small bits and pieces that Aoyama's parents have given him and probably what else he's pieced together on his own. But it makes for a nice conversation. Also strengthens my Aoyama hate that much more. But let's get back into it though. I could talk about disliking Aoyama for days and how they should rebuild Tartarus and put him under it. But there's this moment, like this brief pause where Deku was like, "What? We can all do this together. We're still in this." And Aoyama's like, I'm sorry, but I choose the safety of my parents over you. And he picks up the phone and he's like, he's here. I did which is basically he's calling All for One and letting him know that he has Deku isolated and off to himself. And of course, just like that, All for One still has access to that teleport quirk that he used during the raid when they raided the bar. So he's on the scene in a second. And upgraded at that. Like his new Demon Lord mask, it's more so armored. I feel like this is his battle version of it because I know the last time we saw him in it, he wasn't expecting a battle. He kind of just had to probably hop up out his chair and get over to Shigaraki and the rest of the League of Villains in the bar as quickly as he could. But now we're seeing this new version of his armor, and I gotta say, it's looking mean. It's like he has like these extra metal rivets, and it's like a visor. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like some coloration and glow to it, and it even comes with these like menacing looking shoulder pads. So he came ready for a fight, and quickly he finds out that he's gonna get it because Aoyama actually turns on him. He's like, it was a part of a setup, so it was kind of smart. The heroes kind of used it all to draw him out, and this actually surprises him. He's like, whoa, what? He didn't see it coming because he has his basically his lie detector quirk, and he's like, how did this happen? I didn't detect any like deceit or ill will in your tone. But he doesn't bear on that too long because nevertheless, he's here. He can also see with his search quirk that all the pro heroes are miles away. And of course, there's his little brother, one for all, right there in front of him. And it's just Deku, and it's he's the Demon Lord. He's still the Demon Lord. So it's there for the taking. That's step one in his plan, is to reclaim his little brother, and it's right there. All he has to do is take it. So of course, you know, he kind of breaks off into a little spiel because he kind of, when you're 10 steps ahead of everybody, you always kind of feel superior. So with a quick snap of his fingers, he quickly brings out Shigaraki, Dabi, Toga, and many other villains that he's got ready to fight. Just a side note though, it's not Spinner in his action vanguard with him. It's just All For One and, you know, those few select villains and a couple high-end Nomu. So it's not the entire brunt of his force, but of course they all pop out in front of everybody. Aoyama, he's already admitted to the fact that he peed on himself when he was lying to All For One. Which, to be honest, he probably should have just kept to himself. Like, what are you doing? It's shameful enough that you did that, but the fact that you're gonna, those could possibly be your last words, and that's what you're gonna. I peed on myself. They should write that on your tombstone. You deserve it for all the traitor crap. But Deku, he's not shaken. He's already full cowed up, and just like that, we kind of get like another moment where it's like, you know, hey, you sprang our trap card, and they actually activate Warp Gate, and the pros just come right through. We got Endeavor, you got Mirko, Fat Gums there. It's kind of like a reunion. So All For One's like, oh, okay, I see you guys were able to use Warp Gate's quirk, but nevertheless, he's still not shaken. He's like, great, now it kind of saves me some of the time of finding him that you brought him to me. So the fact that even though the heroes are ready for like a head-on-head cavalry versus cavalry battle right here, it kind of makes me worry that All For One, he's just like, all right, fine, whatever. We can fight it out. It's still all according to plan, if you ask me. Little brother's right there. He's mine for the taking. I'm about to end this war, run Japan, and then run the world. And, I mean, with Shigaraki standing literally beside him, the pro heroes are going to have to give it their best shot. Now, we should definitely note the fact that it's not all of the pros, and it's not even any of the kids from UA. So with the Spinner and his Vanguard force, and with still we have the kids at UA, they've got to be, they're the reserves in this battle. They're going to come into play on some other end and probably meet head to head in that way. And this all with the teleporting and everything is probably going to work more so towards them trying to split up Shigaraki and All For One, whereas though he has either Shigaraki or All For One with the kids and they're fighting them, or vice versa. But that's probably how the teleporting quirks are going to come into handy. And I guess now we know what Aizawa and Monoma were doing with him. They were using Manoa's power to try to, you know, his copy power to see if he could use Warp Gate, which is pretty smart if you ask me. And also, if he can use Eraser, then that's all the better. Like he should be like a heavy hitter in this war, given the fact that he can just copy people's quirks and kind of cycle through them. It's almost like a All For One Junior type of quirk, if you ask me. But this is it basically. Like we're getting to the crescendo. The final battle starts now, and we're basically here. It was a quick chapter this week, so I gotta feel like next week's chapter is gonna be way longer. And right into the action, right into the climax. I'm looking forward to see where this is gonna end. Is All Might gonna pop up in this war again? Do some All Might stuff. But more importantly, where is Stain? What is he doing? And I just got the most the best prediction that I could possibly think of. And I was like, what if Stain pops up challenging Spinner and he's like, why are you running around defaming my name? And we get to see Stain actually murder Spinner. That would be like one of the highlights in my year if like Horikoshi had that in the manga. Like that would probably be in my like top two favorite My Hero Academia moments if that happened. But of course, as always, these are just my opinions, how I feel. You guys got to tell me how you're feeling. What are you guys thinking? Hit me up in the comments. Please let me know. Also, follow me on TikTok because on Mondays, I'm going to be doing another smaller, quick 60-second chapter review there. But the main difference will be, it'll be the official translations. So you'll get more context because, of course, it's nice to read the scans early because who doesn't want to read the new chapter early? But it's always great to actually get the verified scans just because you get all the context, and they vary, with certain words and whatnot, just depending on how it is. Also, Manga Plus, they actually made almost all the manga that they have on there. I think all of it. If not, you can read. They're not just releasing 3 volumes of everything and they expire. You can read from beginning to end now, which is great because it makes it a lot easier when you want to go back and look at some of the other chapters in My Hero or any of the other mangas that you read. So I'm also liking that too. But I'm going to see y'all later, all right? Peace.